Unsyndicated presents Off the Air with Sean Baligian.
Like, listen, seriously, what else are you going to be doing on a Saturday afternoon in like February, right? It's the day before the Super Bowl. Of course, our minds are looking ahead to baseball. That's why we're here today. My name is Sean Baligian. Glad you could join us. You might not know his name. You might not know his dumb face, but I'm sure if you've listened to the radio over the years, one of the quotes that people remember from the time that I was working with Killer, and you know this, is there was a quote, a guy called in and he was really mad after a particular game. And he called in and he went on a rant. And I guess for the lack of a better term, he referred to the manager of the Detroit Tigers at the time as a crazy old man who does crazy old man things.
I think you have to say that again.
I can't even say it without giggling. A crazy old man who does crazy old man things. And that became a quote for a couple of years. This is the guy that dropped the quote. Michael Bohenick kindly joining us here on the Unsyndicated Network. Of course, this is Off the Air. Michael, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm sorry to see the quality of the show fall this badly, this quickly, now that I'm here. So.
He and I actually did a thing. This is going back like 4 years ago. No, 5 years ago. My gosh. I think right. The summer of 19, was it that we did that?
For
Alavila.
No, that was COVID. That was like,
okay. So it was the summer of 20.
Yeah. It was like springtime because the season hadn't started yet. And I think it was over your house in like May or June.
And it was amazing because here's the funny thing about this town. And I love being here. I've made a choice to stay here. This is great, everything, okay? But I think, especially with the Detroit Tigers, fans are so desirous for a winner that I think sometimes fans suspend reality. I remember going through it with Brad Ausmus when they made the decision to bring Brad Ausmus back. I had so many dumb Facebook arguments with people, and that's why I really don't delve into it too much anymore. I'm sorry. I just kind of got burned. And whether people want to admit this or not, you and I were just talking about this off the air yesterday. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Zach. There is almost a revisionist history now from people in regards to the Alavila era that everybody and their brother knew 2-3 years ago. Yeah. And that just wasn't the case. No. It just wasn't. There may have been a few of you. I'm not denying that maybe you were one of them. I know he was one of them. But it is amazing to me. I remember, Mike, even going into that last season with Alavila at the helm.
Yeah.
There were people that were, you're crazy, you missed on this one, you'll all see type of stuff. It really was remarkable.
If I recall, they got off to like a decent start, like a 500 start through, I don't know, April. Mm-hmm. And you still had people say, oh, just wait. The Alavila, prospects are coming through. Everything's going to come up roses. And it's like, no, you put too many eggs in these baskets. You don't have anything else coming in. You've made horrible free agent signings over the 7-year term that the guy was here. And we're still paying for that today, by the way.
Yep. No doubt about it. Javi, hi. How are you? All right. So we're going to get off that right away. Let me start with this. Tigers just signed Jack Parkman, by the way.
Oh, good. That's good to know.
Yeah. Jeff said the Tigers will be painful to watch once again. Okay. Yes. Let's get this out of the way. Is there a chance? I'm going to ask you, and then to those of you guys out there as well. Is there a chance that this team can contend in this division?
No.
Okay.
No. Pacoda has them at 74 and 88. Okay, so they're not even projected as an 80-win ball club. The rotation is right now. I like Turk Skubal. I like him a lot. He's very good.
100%.
Himself. He's gotten into good physical shape. Great K per 9. He's reduced to the home run ball, and I like him a lot. And he could be a potential Cy Young contender, down the road. I don't know. After that, bunch of question marks. you went out and made more bargain basement signings with Maeda and Jack Flaherty. We're relying on a reclamation project in a 1-year deal with Jack Flaherty. Then you have Manning.
Casey Mize.
What is Manning? We don't know. Mize, no. Mize is no.
See,
I'm done banking. No. Mize is flat out no. It's a bust. Career over. He will not be back. Okay. I'm sorry. The guy wasn't good when he was healthy. He was okay. But he didn't have that type of stuff that works today where you need to be throwing 95 and having a strikeout per 9 of 9+. That's not him. And then I like that Reese Olson kid. He throws hard, but I mean he's a project too.
See, you know what I was going to bring up to you? I look at Casey Mize a year behind Matt Manning. I have accepted what Matt Manning is. Does that make sense? I've accepted what Matt Manning is.
Manning's still relatively young. The injury problems have been there. I would like to see a full healthy season out of Manning.
Okay. And I'm so with that being said, I'm willing to give Casey Mize, after obviously sitting out all last season, a chance to get to that point.
Sure.
Like, okay, to Rick Porcello, something that I know you and I were on the same page for many, many years.
Yeah.
He was just a guy.
Yeah, right.
There were highs. Usually it went game to game, but if you remember, there was 1 year with the Red Sox. It all came together. He won the Cy Young. He shouldn't have, but he won the Cy Young. But Rick Porcello, when you add everything up, there's a reason why you keep cumulative stats.
Right.
Rick Porcello was a guy.
Right.
And I look at those guys at best as being guys.
Well, that's the problem right now with the entire roster, is that you have a bunch of very early draft picks in Torkelson, Green, Mize. You're not getting superstar production out of 2 number 1 overall picks. And Torkelson, jury's still out. He might be a productive hitter. What did he hit? 30 bombs last year. He got hot late.
Yes, he did.
And that's great. I would love to see him hit 250 with 35 home runs. Is he going to be a superstar? It's hard to say. Is Riley Green going to be a superstar in this league with the injuries that he's had?
You gotta stay healthy, dude. You gotta stay healthy.
Can he patrol center field anymore on a regular basis, or do you have to move him to a corner spot now with the injury issues? I don't know, but are you getting 20 to 25 home runs out of Riley Green? I would say odds are no.
No, I would say
even if he hits you 300, which I would love, if he's not giving you the extra base power that you need from a pick like that, he's just a guy. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Riley Green does turn into a superstar hitter that you can count on to come out and hit 300, hit you 20 bombs. I don't think the stolen bases are going to be there with the injury issues. I think that leg's going to be a problem for a while. But, you're not getting – so far you've gotten nothing out of Casey Mize, which was number 1 overall pick in 17? Is that how long ago it's been?
Was it 18?
Was it 17?
Whatever.
Either way, you're drafting guys very highly. You're not getting superstar production out of them. And then you've got nothing to fill the basket after that. Okay, so the franchise, unfortunately, is in a position where you're bringing in a Jack Flaherty on a 1-year deal. Maeda's on a 2-year deal. It seems like, and I like Scott Harris. I think he's a smart guy.
I knew you were going here.
The Eduardo thing's a massive problem for me. I don't know how you screw that up that badly. However, he's still signing these 1-year, 2-year deals where it looks to me like, okay, I'm going to sign Jack Flaherty for $14 million, hope he does well. And when we suck at the deadline, I'm going to try to flip him.
Yeah.
Because he's not long-term.
Yeah.
Who is locked up long-term for this franchise that you can count on and say, hey, this is going to be a winning ball club in 25, 26, whatever?
Colt Keith.
I like Colt Keith. I think that's a smart, savvy signing by Harris. And what's the new GM's name?
The hockey guy.
Like yeah. Anyway, I think that's a smart move, and they need to make more moves like that where you're locking up young talent for a long term at a very team-friendly deal. I hope he's great, and by all accounts, he's going to be a good hitter. But you need more, okay? If you're running Zach McKinstry out there on a regular basis, that's a problem. You've got 4 years left with one of the worst shortstops you could ever watch at the plate. Okay, you've got 4 years left. Thank you, Alavila, for that bum being here. Okay, you have to really navigate around that now to put together a winning ball club, because he's not getting better. I don't care. You can say, oh, he'll hit you 25 home runs, blah, blah, blah. The complete lack of discipline and the grind it out want to get better is infuriating.
Yep.
And that's the part where I don't know how an AJ Hinch can coexist with that guy, because by all means, you think Hinch is more of like a players type manager. He played the game. He caught. I don't know how he looks at a Javi Baez swinging at pitches 2 feet out of the zone and doesn't want to jump off a goddamn building.
It is one of the most, like, at first it was frustrating. And then let's be honest, we all lived for the pictures. I mean, and he and I sent pictures to each other multiple times a week. Hey, look at what Javi just swung at in the 6th inning. Look at what Javi just swung at in the 8th inning, whatever the case may be.
And if you recall, who were the other free agent middle infielders when they signed Javi Baez? Do you remember? Because I sure remember.
No, absolutely.
Marcus Semien, Corey Seager. What did they do last year? What did they do last year? Anything good?
Yeah.
Were they good? They won a freaking ring, and we're saddled with this bum for another 4 years.
And we justified it.
And they talk about, Carlos Correa had a down year. Carlos Correa's numbers clear Javi's last year by a long shot. Correa had the worst year of his career.
Yep.
Are you banking on him repeating that?
Can I go back? Can I go back to our fine general manager though? Because I felt the same way. How about Scott? I felt the exact same way that you did. And I remember I was on vacation on the west side of the state when the Eduardo thing happened. And I don't know if you remember this. I literally texted you and I said, okay, this is like, forget about a strike against him. This is 2 strikes against him. That was a pure unmitigated disaster. What happened with
I don't see how that happens. I don't see how you don't have a backup plan in place for if he does try to sabotage you and say, oh, never mind, I don't want to go to LA. Okay, fine. Who's the next team up?
Yep.
And they didn't have that ready to go.
Always bothers me.
If you know the guy has a no trade clause, you know it's there. You got to have a backup plan in place. And you can't let it out and let it leak that, oh, he decided at the last second he's not going to the Dodgers, because guess what? His equity is shot at that point.
Yep.
You can't move him. He's a toxic asset that you can't trade. So you got to have that back. And that's where I was like, wait a minute. This guy seems like a smart guy. He seems like he's got his finger on the pulse of modern baseball and how to manage your payroll. And then that really takes a lot out of it, because it's not like Eduardo was a fantastic signing here. He did pitch well at times, but you could have gotten something of value back for him at the deadline. They botched that.
That month and a half span that he had, though, in the early part of last season, it was amongst the most dominant that I remember from a Tiger. And I say that knowing that Justin Verlander exists and some of the dominance that we saw from him. He was phenomenal. And it was like, finally, and it happened at the right time where maybe you can pawn him off and turn it into something. For that to play out the way that it did. I love what Jeff said, because this is something you and I have talked about many times. And I have said this on radio and television more times than you can shake a stick at. And Jeff said, the problem with the starting 9 in the rotation is that they are just everyday major leaguers and nothing more. There is a problem with baseball fans in this town. Okay. There is. And I'm probably going to offend you, but I will say, I've said this more times than you could shake a stick at. We have a big time problem in this town of elevating our own onto levels that they don't belong. Right. And it is, I mean, going back to Brandon Inge and the one that, and I even had some fun with this with Shep when I did a show a couple months ago with Shep. The Akil Badu stuff to me is the most mind-boggling. It like went beyond mad. Like I used to get mad over it, and now I don't even get mad. I'm more like strangely amused as to what this guy did to endear himself to so many people.
I think the problem is when you go this long watching such a bad product, and we're looking at a decade now with them missing the playoffs. Okay. You're looking for anything.
Yep.
You're grasping at straws. If you see one little, pinhole of light coming through that darkness, I'm gonna chase that thing, and no matter how farther away it keeps getting, I'm gonna keep chasing it. And to your point, another reason why I don't think they can contend in this division. Can they contend? I don't know what that means. Can they finish within 5 games?
I think so.
Yes,
I think so.
But that's an indictment on the division. It's
not 100%.
But the problem is now you're looking at a division. Do the Tigers have any of the top players in the division locked up long-term? Do they have a superstar? Kansas City just re-upped Bobby Witt Jr. for basically forever. Mm-hmm. Okay. He's a superstar, bona fide superstar, no doubt about it. Okay. White Sox, Luis Robert, head case, peak talent. Okay. One of the best talents in the game, 30 home run hitter, he'll hit 300. electric type of player. Okay. Cleveland's got Jose Ramirez. They've got good players. They're not a great team, but they've got some good talent. Who is the Tigers' Jose Ramirez? Who is the Tigers' Luis Robert? Who is their Bobby Witt? You don't have one.
Nope.
Not that we know of now. Okay. A quote unquote 5-tool guy or whatever you want to say that's going to sell tickets. That's going to get people excited about the product. I don't know who that is. I'm praying it's Colt Keith. Maybe it's Jace Young next year. I don't know. But they don't have that guy, and they haven't for a minute now.
No.
And that's the sad part. You finally get the albatross of Miguel Cabrera off the books, even though he's making $8 million this year, retained somehow. And now you're stuck with this Baez deal for $25 million for 4 more years. So the timing on that couldn't have been worse. And you're staring at a team that has not been in the top half of Major League Baseball in payroll in 7 years? Top half.
It's insane.
They're 22nd right now for 2024 payroll. They are closer in dollars to Oakland than they are to 10th place Boston. Think about that.
Yeah.
Closer in dollars to Oakland, who is leaving and spending $66 million on their payroll this year. You're closer to them than Boston.
Yeah.
What is Chris doing?
Yeah.
When are we going to start spending some money? And there's still guys out there. Okay. There's Cody Bellinger's out there. JD Martinez is out there. Mike Clevenger, your boy, he's out there. I would have rather looked at Clevenger than a Jack Flaherty.
100%.
I would rather sign Clevenger for, 3 years. I don't know what he's going to get. I can't imagine he's demanding a ton. But Kenta Maeda, okay, he's a veteran guy. He strikes guys out, but his ERA is going to be around 4. He's nothing special. I just don't get – I would love to know what the plan is moving forward for this franchise. What are we looking forward to? Because unfortunately, the good talent, okay, that we have in the minors, the Jace Youngs, the kid from last year, Clark, you've got some quote-unquote talent there that's rated highly by the magazines or whatever. By the time those guys are here – guess who you got to pay?
Yep.
Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, Terry Skubal. You got to start paying those guys. And it's a timing issue now where you need things to line up perfectly to win. And unless you're going to start spending, I don't see how you're going to cobble that together to be a consistent winning ball club.
How about a couple comments? Boy, Steve, good memory here. It's like you used to say, is this player good or is he lying good? Guess what, though? All jokes aside, that's what the Detroit Tigers have become. Yeah. And people, if you remember, people used to justify going with Akil Baddoo again. Well, he was Rule 5. Well, I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me. It means absolutely nothing to me. At the end of the day, is this guy a viable Major League Baseball player? And he's not a viable Major League Baseball player.
No, not an everyday player, not even close. He could be a platoon lefty bat if you're going to use him that way, I guess. Can we go to this last comment here by Genghis?
Yes.
It's a completely toxic topic.
Do it.
I don't see the Trevor Bauer. When he was, quote unquote, kicked out of the league, essentially blackballed. He's flipped the tables on the false accusations. There was a settlement made out of civil court. Okay. So
do your homework.
Yeah. Look into it. If you want.
No, I'm serious. To his point, do your homework and read exactly what happened there.
However, he has claimed, I forget what podcast he was on. He has come out and said he will pitch for the league minimum. He will pitch for the league freaking minimum. Where's the downside? Oh, he's a bad clubhouse guy. I don't care. His last 2 years in baseball, I think his ERA during the COVID season was like under 2. And then he came back and had like a 2.6 with a K per 9 of around 10. That's the type of guy, if you're a smart front office guy, that's the guy you want. I understand it comes with a lot of baggage.
Why? No, I'm being serious. Why?
You're preaching to the choir here.
No,
I don't see
why
not. But I could see from a PR standpoint, we don't want to bring that in. I get it. My point is that's the type of signing, even if you're not bringing in Bauer. Okay, let's pretend his name is John Smith. Okay, if you could find another guy like
there's a Sergei Fedorov joke there, but go ahead. Exactly.
And bring him in where it's a low risk deal, why not do it? I'd rather have Trevor Bauer than Jack Flaherty, who's complete injury risk, okay, whose numbers last year were atrocious when he was healthy. it seems like you're just continuing this cycle. I'm going to bring this guy in, hope he performs, and flip him. And then I'm going to bring another guy in and hope he performs and flip him. When are we going to stop this? When are we going to bring in a guy long-term for 3 or 4 years, a young guy that can help this ball club? And here's another issue I had. I brought up JD Martinez the other day when I was talking to people. JD Martinez last year had an 890 OPS, okay, as a DH for the Dodgers. I had a guy, well, he's old. What do I care? Can he hit?
Yep.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt, can JD Martinez hit? Yes, of course he can hit. But the problem the Tigers have right now is Riley Green's probably not going to be ready. So he's going to have to be your DH coming out of the gate, which sucks because you can't go sign a DH because then you got nowhere for Green to hit.
Yep.
Right. So if he's not ready to play the outfield, you can't go sign a DH. You're stuck with a Matt Vierling. You're stuck with a McKinstry. You're stuck with Badu. Those aren't major league bats, man. Those are not players that you can win baseball games with.
I love Genghis. I challenge everybody out there, okay, to go look at the outcome of the Trevor Bauer situation, because whether we want to admit it or not, the way things are covered in the media today, the salacious stuff sells, and everybody jumped on Trevor Bauer and point blank. I think both of us would agree, Mike, the allegations were unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, okay. But what often goes unreported is the aftermath and what was concluded and how the investigation concluded, especially when you have somebody as brash as a Trevor Bauer.
That's the problem.
I have no problem doing that, though.
I know.
None.
But that's the problem for a guy like Bauer. He's an asshole. Okay. He is a total asshole. I don't think he would deny that he's an
We can
asshole.
say that
Okay.
here too.
Yeah.
We don't have to hit a button or anything.
And that's why everything happened the way it did. That's why a guy like Bauer, who, people don't like, he rubs people the wrong way. I don't know any better. I would say a guy like Bauer is almost on the spectrum with the way he handles things and the way he handles the media. The guy was running tests on sticky substances in his garage. Okay, the guy's he's not all there, all right, but he can pitch.
Yeah, he can
so
pitch.
I don't care. He's Nuke LaLoosh, whatever. Bring him in. But the point is, if he can pitch and he can play well, bring him in. We're talking about baseball. We're not talking about, Little League, where, everybody has to be nice and bring the orange slices after the game and get along.
Michael said 2 honest opinions about the Tigers and not bought and paid for sunshine and roses. All right, Michael, we'll wait for him because I'm not in that.
He's saying that's
that's us.
That's us.
Okay.
We're
That's
definitely not.
Listen, can I say this? I am not as down on this franchise as I have been in a long time. Okay, but keep that in perspective. Please keep that in perspective. This team is so far away from legitimately competing because going back to what he said. Okay, if you hang around all summer and you're cute in a division where the Minnesota Twins win the division with 84 wins. If you hang around and you flirt with 500, that's one thing. I think dig a little deeper last year, and I wish I had the numbers right off the top of my head, but you guys can fact check me, okay? Go look at what the Tigers did against this division, and then go look what they did against the AL Beast, okay? It wasn't pretty.
No.
Those are good baseball teams across the board, quite frankly, in that division, and they got smoked. So this almost goes back to what we were talking. There's Lion good, and in this case, Tiger good, and there's good. They're not ready for good yet. They're just not at that point yet. And it's funny when you look at this roster, and you and I actually pulled up the projected roster as well. Parker Meadows, Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, Kerry Carpenter, Mark Canha, which, by the way, that wasn't bad.
I know. I like
that. That wasn't bad.
It's a veteran guy that can get on base. That's
Why
fine.
not?
I'm good with it.
Colt Keith, Javi, Zach McKinstry, Jake Rogers.
So I don't think you can count on Parker Meadows as your everyday center fielder leadoff hitter. I don't think he'll lead off. I think Canha leads off just because he gets on base, not because he's fast. Meadows had a short audition last year. I don't know what to think of him. I mean, if he can come in and steal you 30, 40 bases, which is what we're being told he can, great. But he's got to be able to get on base. There's a lot of holes in that lineup.
Oh,
all All right, there are holes in that lineup. If you're seriously considering starting Zach McKinstry at third base, just punt the season. Okay, it's over. That Zach McKinstry is a utility player. That he should be the first guy off the bench. He can play a lot of different positions, give people a day off. That's fine. Zach McKinstry should not be starting. He got off to a nice start last year, and then he completely tanked in the second half. So that's not a promising lineup. That's not a lineup that's going to go out and score a bunch of runs. You're going to be stuck in the same
Matt Chapman
last year.
Wouldn't that be unbelievable? You don't look like Matt Chapman?
No.
Really?
Chapman is washed. Chapman can
really even I'd take him over Zach McKinstry.
Well, that's a different story. Yeah, of course I would. Would I be willing to give Matt Chapman a long-term deal?
No.
Now, I will say this. I wouldn't have minded kicking the tires on Justin Turner, who was signed for a relatively inexpensive deal. He can still hit.
Jacob
yes, he's
Turner?
old. Oh, God, not Jacob. That's his brother. Tina.
It's a long joke from years
That's
ago.
the type of guy, like, why not? Why not bring him in? He can stick right away. He can play third base. He's a veteran. You probably don't have to sign him long-term. And then when your third base prospects are ready, the Jace Youngs, the Justin Henry Malloy, if those guys can actually stick, you bring them in, then they can play. I want to bring up something. Somebody brought up the Casey Mize pick in 18. Oh, it's revisionist history. It's revisionist history on Casey Mize. Who went after Casey Mize? Okay, let's take a look. Alec Baum went third to the Phillies. Very good player. Jonathan India went to the Reds at 5. Jared Kelenic. Heard of him? He's good. Oddly enough, Kyler Murray went 9 to Oakland in that draft. Grayson Rodriguez, Baltimore Orioles, 11th overall. Is he good? Are they banking their entire franchise on a kid like that? Yes, they are. Logan Gilbert, Seattle Mariners. Is he good? Yes, very good pitcher. Brady Singer, in-division starter for the Royals. Has he had some very good moments in his career? Is he a good pitcher, somebody you can count on every day? Yup. How about Nolan Gorman at 19 to the Cardinals? Excellent hitter, good player. Nico Horner, one of the best WAR guys in baseball, plays for the Cubs, good player. I mean, what are we talking about? Okay, it's not a good pick. Even if you thought Mize was good, his injury problems make him a bust right now. Today.
Right now you have
not
to say
gotten
that.
Value out of that pick.
No.
Now, obviously, you can't predict the future. You don't know what happens with these other guys as far as health is concerned. But from a production standpoint, watching a guy like Casey Mize when he is healthy, I'm not banking on a guy like that to be a number 1 ever. He's a number 3, number 4 guy at best when healthy.
He's a guy.
Those other names that I listed off, Grayson Rodriguez is going to be a superstar for Baltimore. He's already very good. Okay, Matt McClain was on that list for the Reds. Absolute stud. We're talking about first-round talent that is coming in and giving first-round production. And that's something this team has had a problem with.
Big-time problem. The starters, I know you touched on this, Skubal, Flaherty, Maeda, Manning, Reese Olson, Casey Mize. Then you look at the pen, Alex Lang, your closer, Foley. Will Vest is a guy that was really good for a period of time last year. Really good for a period of time like that. Do you count on a guy like that, though, moving forward?
I don't mind the bullpen. I think the bullpen is set up in decent fashion. Shelby Miller,
I like
signing.
I like bringing Chafin back.
Chafin's fine.
I like bringing
but again,
Chafin
what
back.
is it? It's a 1 year
It's a 1 year deal.
It's a 1 year deal. So what's going to happen? Are you going to flip him again at the deadline like you did before? I don't know. Maybe. If you stink, you got a lot of assets you can trade. But what are you going to get for him? What are you getting for an Andrew Chafin at the deadline? Nothing of consequence. Okay. What are you getting? Let's say Jack Flaherty comes out. He gives you a 3.8 ERA. He's, I don't know, at the trade deadline, he's 9-4, 9-6, something like that. What are you getting for a half season of Jack Flaherty? Not much. Okay.
I'm having flashbacks though, because how many times in people's earnestness to talk about the job that Al Avila was doing, and I'll use Mike Fiers as an example. Remember, look what he got. He didn't pay anything, but look what he got in return. But that's what we were left to do.
Right.
That's what we were left to do, because there wasn't anything there. That was the thing with the Avila period. And like, honestly, I still think, whether we want to admit it or not, we have a little bit of PTSD. For guys like he and I, we have PTSD because so many people told us we didn't see what we were seeing. Okay. there was nothing there. And so what we had to do is we had to rule 5 prospects. And it was all things that you couldn't see, that there was no way you could quantify it. You had to wait a couple of years to see if this guy panned out or that guy panned out. It really was, to use the old analogy, kicking the can down the road. That whole era was, let's kick the can down the road, and we're going to tell everybody that, okay, we just kicked it further down the road. Wait till we get to that point down the road, and you're going to see. And then they'd kick the freaking can down the road again. I mean, that was the whole. It was like a shell game. It was like just a damn shell game.
But we're in the same game right now. We're in the same game.
We kind of are.
Where you're waiting on quote unquote prospects to come up and perform. And that's the problem when you have a GM that doesn't know what he's doing and makes terrible free agent signings. All you're doing is delaying the inevitable. And we're stuck doing this again based on, oh, well, if Max Clark turns out to be a stud, what is he, 19?
Yeah,
we're not going to see that kid for 3 more years at best. With this organization, maybe 4, because God forbid they call somebody up early. You're sitting here waiting on a Jace Young. You're waiting on these kids, down in the minors to come up and help and perform on a regular basis. But all you're doing is you're cycling through the problem. It's like you talked about with the Lions for years, right? With their free agent signings.
Yep.
You're replacing a guy with a new guy. You're just replacing a guy. And you continue to do that over and over again because you're not getting value out of the draft, out of the middle rounds of the draft. You're not finding middle round gems to replace those guys. So all you're doing is just recycling. And that's unfortunately with these types of free agents that the organization is bringing in. Okay. Andrew Chaffetz is on a 1-year deal. You're going to have to replace him next year.
Yep.
Jack Flaherty's on a 1-year deal. You're going to have to replace him. Maeda, 2-year deal. Going to have to replace. What is the long-term strategy here? And I don't see what it is. And
I don't think people get that. I'm so glad you brought that up. That the way you just brought it up, I don't think people get that. Like, even with the way they finished last year, they're not ready. They're not ready. Just look at the way the contracts are set up.
No, and I actually like the bullpen. I think you have some good arms there. I like Foley. Lang had some bad hiccups last year, but I think he's fine. And you've got some decent arms back there. Shelby Miller, again, reclamation project, former high pick, good talent. Maybe he'll be all right. Is that a guy you're going to try to flip to?
Alex
I don't know.
Faedo.
But no, don't even say Faedo's name. Knock it off.
They're counting on him. That's the worst part. That's the worst part.
That we have to hear about in this town for year after year, and they don't do anything of significance. I don't want to hear about them anymore. I don't care.
Wings win in a shootout, by the way. That's a good win against Vancouver. We have a couple minutes left. I have to tell you about our friends at Legacy. Have you called them yet? Like, honestly, Joe and Alex and Dave and everybody at Legacy Partners, great guys. And did you know that thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy Partners to get help with their home and auto insurance? Our friends at Legacy Partners are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agencies and provide a full service, one-stop solution for all of your insurance needs, whether it be personal, whether it be business, large or small. Legacy has helped our listeners by fixing mistakes other agents have made, asking the right questions to get the right coverage put in place to properly protect you. Oh, yeah. They help you save money at the same time as well. Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last year, you might be paying too much and you could be underinsured. What are you waiting for? Give my friends at Legacy Partners a chance to help you with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, or your business insurance needs. Call them today, 586-209-4106, or visit legacypartnersins.com to get started with your new quotes. Do me a favor, tell them that we sent you. They are going to take care of you. They're great guys. I'll vouch for Joe. I'll vouch for Alex. I'll vouch for Dave. Great cats. No doubt about it. Mike, who do you like in this division? We only have a couple minutes left. Who do you like in the division?
Minnesota again, I guess.
Right?
I guess.
That's
like...
Okay, sure. Okay. Listen, can I tell you, all right, while I'm patting myself on the back, saying there's nothing there, and we told you for years there was nothing there with the Detroit Tigers, and you can call me out for this because I had many conversations with you about this. I thought the Chicago White Sox were this close to not just Central Division dominance, but like Major League dominance.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's easy to blame it on Tony La Russa, and Lord knows he's got his fair share to blame for that. but some of the boneheads that you brought up, one of them, okay, Robert. But Jimenez. Yeah. I mean, there's so many of these boneheads that they had. Take a look at what they had. That the COVID year, that team that made the playoff and that roster, and you're like, okay, nobody's got a chance in this division for years.
Yeah.
And I mean,
you got good. Here's the thing with the White Sox, and this is why
they're cursed.
Just like us.
Yeah, a little bit.
This is why I would rather be the White Sox than what we've been the last several years. And let me tell you why. When I look at a team like the White Sox and the way they built that farm system and the way they had those kids coming up, everybody in baseball was saying this is the next dominant club, right, for the next several years. They had a plan. Sometimes the plan just doesn't work. 100%. Okay, that's okay. But if I can understand your plan and I can see your vision and I can see how you're putting it together, for somebody like me, I can make sense of that. Okay. I can't make sense of this, of what the Tigers have going on right now. I don't see the end of the road here. I don't see where you're leading to. With a team like the White Sox, you're putting all those prospects together. Yoan Moncada, it's another name, right? Moncada always going to be super. The guy stinks.
Yeah, no good. No good. Nope.
What can you do, right? What can you do? You drafted, you brought him in high. I think he was an international free agent, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to look. Anyway, you brought him in. You were promised the world with this kid. He comes up and he just isn't very good. Sometimes that happens. These kids can't play.
And you see this all the time in sports. I think the Detroit Pistons are living proof of this. It's so easy to talk about rebuild. It's so easy to finally say the way we're operating isn't working.
Right.
It's not as easy as I think sometimes people make it out to be to actually follow through.
No. And that's why, again, I think a problem with the fan base is, oh, well, they're going to be better. They're going to be better, right? They finished strong last year. They finished close to 500. They're going to be better this year.
Buddy Bell.
There are no guarantees, guys. There are no guarantees in sports. You could have a nice team. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
One play away from winning the Super Bowl last year. The franchise is a total.
I know what you're doing right now, and I'm not listening to you. You're sending negative lion vibes my way, and I'm not gonna let you do that to me.
No, I think the Lions actually like their
I'm not joking. I brought up the Buddy Bell era. I remember 1997. I was so excited because they won 79 games.
Yep, they're going to be better.
They're going to be better.
Yeah,
and we know how that worked out.
Not a guarantee.
No, we know how that worked out. All right, one more thing to tell you about before we get out of here today. And Mike, let's do this again.
Absolutely.
This is great. He obviously has a great mind for baseball. He's a great human being as well.
Let's pump the brakes on both of those.
Dude, you do.
Pump the brakes.
You are a great human being. I know your wife will agree that you are a great human being.
That's one.
Well, me. So there's two.
You don't count.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you about my friends, Mike and Jeff. They're not only my friends, my former neighbors. They do a great job with Wealth Advantage. Are you ready to take charge of your financial future? Look no further than the Wealth Advantage Group. They are located in historic downtown Northville, owned by two brothers, my friends, with over 20 years of industry experience. They understand that your financial goals are as unique as you are. That's why they offer personalized expert guidance to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning. Now, whether you're saving for retirement, getting ready to sell your company, or already in retirement, they can help guide you through every step of your financial journey. They work with clients throughout all stages of life and have clients in over 20 states. The investment world is complex, so if you are ready to start taking your finances more seriously, I think it's time to work with the experts. Reach out to my friends at the Wealth Advantage Group at 248-773-8574. Make sure to check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com. Certainly tell Mike and Jeff that I sent you. They're great guys. Jeff is a huge college football fan. So we're going to, sometime in the summer, he is, Blake is, Jeff is, we're going to do a thing where we're going to geek out. Like you can sit at your desk, Mike, and we can do this StreamYard thing. Sweet. And we just all geek out leading up to the football season.
Love it.
All right. Any kind of, let me see what Todd said. The product sucks, and the worst of it, it isn't even fun to take your kids down there. The players don't interact with the kids. Each one is on an island acting for cameras and wearing the silly wings helmet. Wow.
If I may, I think Todd brings up a good point that I forgot to mention. and this goes into the payroll issue, 22nd in payroll. That includes a $25 million contract that they don't want to have, by the way.
No.
Okay, so let's remove Javi.
Hell no.
If you remove Javi from that payroll, you're down into the 80s as far as payroll is concerned, which is pathetic. Okay, you're not even trying. Now, go along with that. You've got a ballpark that is completely falling
apart.
Okay?
It is.
If you go to get a beer at Comerica Park, you're missing an inning and a half because you can't watch it on the TVs because they're all broken. Nothing works there. It's not just about the product on the field, guys. All right. You can tell when an organization has problems from the top down. And the Tigers organization has problems right now from the top down. You've got an owner that seems like he doesn't give a rat's ass about what's going on down there. It's sad to see. But when you see little things like that, there's going to be big problems behind the scenes. I can't watch the game on a TV when I'm getting a beer in the lower concourse. We're not talking about the upper concourse. All right, where you're sending the peons, okay? God forbid we take care of them. I'm talking about the lower course, you got club seats, whatever. You can't go and watch the game between innings. It's a joke. And yeah, good point. Oh, they got a scoreboard.
I know I told you this. I know I told you this last year. So we had, you guys might remember, we had season tickets for years. My son went away to college. We didn't get season tickets anymore. But, with him being home, we chose to go to a lot of games, and he and I go to a lot of games. So my favorite seats in the house, that first row of the mezzanine, where you're like right on the glass, you're looking down on the field. Those are my favorite seats. 3 different times last year, we bought those seats, which aren't exactly cheap seats. And one of the seats that we were sitting in was broken. I wish I was making that up. My buddies get together for the annual card game. Okay. We sit down the first baseline. Usually we sit down the first baseline. I think it was section 115. We're like 5 rows up.
Row 7 seat.
Row 7 seat C. We're like 5 rows up. Again, I'm not making this up. 2 seats were broken. 4 guys spending a pretty good amount of money. Okay. Not only to buy the tickets, but want to go down there and have a few. I was designated driver, and seats were broken. Like, seriously?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of frustrating thing. If you want to change a narrative, you don't talk about changing a narrative. You make sure you go in there, and every issue with that stadium is fixed this year.
Right.
Okay. You can control that stuff.
Thank
Just
you.
simple things like that.
Yep.
Boy, you make such a good point about the televisions. I've never even thought about that.
Nice.
Like, you can't watch a game. You go down into the little area where the carousel is. You have to look 2 TVs over from where you're standing because that TV might be working.
Absolutely.
And those are little things, like really simple things that send 15 people through the stadium, okay? You are going to walk down each row in each segment and section and sit on those chairs and make sure they aren't broken.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? Sit on a broken thing?
Not a big overhead project for Chris to pay for. If we could check the seats and make sure the cable's working. I mean, there's just simple things that seem to be missed and going by the wayside.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I hate to pull this card. Mike would have never let that crap.
Never in a million
Mike
years
would have never let this type of crap go.
Never.
Seriously.
Never. No, it really is amazing. And I know I've told you this. Okay. So I've talked to Christopher like personally, and I'll say this: Chris comes across as a guy who cares. Okay. At least that's what he conveyed to me. And that's why that was one of the things. And I know I told you this. I told him this: simple things. Mm-hmm. Simple things. You can't control the wins and losses. You brought up a great point. You can have the best plan ever, and for whatever reason, that lefty, that shortstop, that it doesn't work. That's simple crap that you can control.
Right.
That is stuff that you can control. Yep. And I hope the Tigers take heed at that and do that a little bit more. All right, buddy. Where are you going tonight? You're going to some concert or something?
Going to LCA.
What are you doing?
Michigan State hockey.
Oh, are you really?
Big game.
That's
Big
awesome.
game. Hockey program is the only thing I got left.
Do you have any idea who won that game last night?
No, I'm not sure. What was do you know? We can look up the score.
It was victory for MSU. It was 5-1.
That was their first win at Yost in a while.
All right, knock it off. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
What's the problem?
All right, for Mike, we'll talk baseball sometime soon.
Definitely. That was fun, man.
Yeah, that was it blows by, didn't it? I mean, look, we did it for like 45 minutes, dude. Just a couple of losers. We'll see you. Bye.
That right later.
Off the Air with Sean Baligian, featuring Sean Baligian and Blake Majchrzak. Produced by Todd Losey and Blake Majchrzak. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Play It Loud by Jam Studio. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Off the Air with Sean Baligian on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Got something to say to Sean? Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.